Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Common Censored Podcast live stream chat. That's what I'm calling it now.
Wait, isn't it also the point being?
No, that's my other thing. This is the Common Censored Podcast, but it's a live stream and it's a chat. So it's all those things. Got it?
No, but maybe you can draw me a picture.
It's important for the co-host to understand.
Can I get a Venn diagram of what this is?
Well, since you're Swedish, you can get a Sven diagram. Sven diagram. All right.
Fired.
Oh, man, I'm already fired in the first minute. I got fired in the first minute. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who are new to this, each week we do these live streams. We talk about the news of the week, what's going on in the world. We also raise money for a good cause each week. And you can do that on YouTube, not on Facebook. But if you're on Facebook, that's cool too. But on YouTube, click the $ underneath the chat. All the proceeds, every dollar, none of it goes to us. It goes to a cause each week. This week, we're doing Food and Water Watch, which is one of my favorite causes. They mainly do legal battles to try and protect our food and water. They've won some really big ones over the years. I've interviewed, I believe, one of their head legal counsel on Redacted Tonight VIP one time. And anyway, they do great work because, unfortunately, a lot of these victories come down to the court systems. Obviously, frontline activists kind of hold the ground while we try and win in the courts a lot of times. So that's why Food and Water Watch is so important. And last week, we raised money for Stephen Donziger, another great environmental lawyer. Oh, I didn't even think about that. We're doing two environmental law things in a row. But
well, the environment is I can't remember who said this, but it was a really powerful way of putting it, that the climate is not another issue in the long list of issues. It is the stage on which all other issues play out. So in that sense, it makes sense to have several environmental issues or what's the word?
Causes.
Thank you. I'm super tired, y'all. So sorry if I can't get out a complete sentence at times. There's just a lot going on right now, and I am exhausted. So apologies in advance for shit that comes out sounding bananas.
A lot more so than me, but a little bit more than you see. Eleanor does a lot of work that is not in front of the camera, whereas the vast majority of my work in activism is in front of the camera, or at least columns and things. So, I can see why you're exhausted. You're working every single day in a big way. But anyway. So the fund's going to Food and Water Watch. So if you can hit the $, donate even just a couple of dollars. Last week we raised it for Stephen Donziger, a lawyer who won a massive, maybe the largest victory ever against a fossil fuel company. I believe it is, down in Ecuador. So he's been persecuted ever since. They now have him on house arrest in New York City. Can't leave his apartment. And this is just because he won a lawsuit against Chevron. So we raised money for him, and last week I believe the final amount donated to him was around $350 or maybe even over that, $350. He, by the way, I did talk to him personally and over Twitter, and he thanked us immensely for that. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and ever since we started doing these live streams, I added it up the other day. We've donated close to $8,000 to various causes. So well done all. Thank you for your help. All right, so let's get into some topics, and feel free to say topics there on the comment thread thing.
Real quick, if you're watching this, please click like and share this wherever you're watching it. Reminder, you can't donate on Facebook. You have to go to youtube.com/Moment of Clarity in order to donate. Again, all of the donations this week are going to Food and Water Watch and Lee. They're not going to Lee.
They're not going to Lee.
I meant and Lee, take it away. Over to you, Lee, with the weather. Thank you, Volante.
Thank you, Volante.
Gonna start this off. Appreciate it.
I want to bring up someone's comment here. Yeah, that one, but no, I can't see it. Ishmael, so I have not studied what's going on in Chile, but I did hear this protest going on there. And so you're telling us that it is to get rid of Pinochet's constitution, which you're still living under. So assuming you have that right. And since I have not studied it, that's obviously a great cause. And I hope people throw their support behind you and the people of Chile.
Yeah, well, I spoke with somebody in Chile. This was I want to say it was in 2020, but this year, who the fuck knows? But just talking about how, like, even though Pinochet is no longer in power, the sort of the echoes and the ramifications of his time in power are still very, very much felt in the sort of neoliberal, regime that took over after him is really abhorrent. So yes, solidarity to everyone in Chile who's fighting for justice.
And the U.S.-backed attack that took out Allende and probably killed him, although they claim he committed suicide. But yeah, he was suicided. So please, anybody tuning in, please take a moment to share this so we can get some more people here and really get it buzzing, really get it happening. Really get the cocaine on strippers' asses. I did not say male or female. Okay? I don't want to hear any of the shit. Could be male or female ass.
Oh, I thought you meant whoever's putting the cocaine on the stripper's ass could be male or female.
Well, that too, but...
Or non-binary.
It's very true. It's very true.
Don't do cocaine, kids.
Kids don't. Adults, yes, absolutely. So... let's get into. I know people want to. The elections are obviously taking up about 99% of our mainstream media coverage. And here's the thing: is like we're almost getting close enough to the election where it's more understandable for the elections to fill our news cycle. Unfortunately, they've been doing it for 2 fucking years, or 3 maybe. But I wanted to discuss, and maybe you have some thoughts on this, Eleanor, as to what kind of result, not who's going to win, but whether we'll have results on election night. America has set up this thing where the media runs around and says, oh, we're calling it for so-and-so immediately. And they don't really set it up for Americans to have some patience and actually see the process carry through. We know Trump will probably declare victory no matter what the fuck happens. That's the question. And I saw some interesting numbers. Now the polls are largely horseshit because they're not accounting for voter suppression. Millions of voters have been purged from the rolls. I've covered that a lot. And these polling averages don't even get into that because people don't know they've been purged from the rolls. So if you call someone and say you're going to vote, they say, oh yeah, I'm planning on voting. I always vote. They don't know they've been purged from the rolls. So these polls are generally terrible, which is why they thought Hillary was going to win last time around. But too many people were purged from the rolls. And she, lost by a tiny number in Michigan and some other places. But I did see something interesting, which is Florida, apparently, it's likely we'll know Florida the night of the election because of the way they do their counting.
Which, can I just take a moment to highlight how funny that is? Based on how fakaked Florida always is in every election. Like, we might actually know what's going on in Florida before we know what's going on in any other state. I find that hilarious.
Thank you,
Jim. Yes. Medicare for all, nationally improved Medicare for all, as it's called. Yes, absolutely. That is definitely something that we need.
But so, if that is true, if we do find out Florida, and apparently if Biden were to win Florida, then the odds of Trump pulling it out are less than 1%. So you could, if you were to find out Florida and find out Biden won, you could practically know who the winner is the night of the election. So there is a chance of that. It's just not as likely as people think it usually is because of the massive number of mail-in ballots and everything.
Yeah, and also, I mean, just seeing what's been going on with the USPS, and hearing reports about whether that's in California where they were setting up like fake drop boxes.
Yeah, it was like connected to the Republican Party.
Or in I just saw a report from Boston where they were like, well, somebody set fire to a ballot drop box. So it's like, with all of this shit.
Since we are a dumpster fire, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I mean,
wow, thank you.
Thank you so much. That's just one big long word, but oh shit. Yes. Oh, cool. Glad that you saw me on Jimmy's show. Yes. It was awesome to be a part of that.
Burning ballot boxes.
Right. Thank you. Right. So with all of that, it's the shit shows that are our elections ordinarily is going to be extremely amplified this year. And I mean, that's not news to anybody, of course. But still, like, the thing that I want to highlight is that, the way that folks are organizing right now, and the way that, maybe many of you are feeling this too, is that, what, it doesn't really matter who the fuck wins, or, you can't really win a fake election anyway, but whoever wins, the reality on the ground, some like that person highlighted earlier, Medicare for all, we're not getting it regardless of who the fuck wins. We're not ending police brutality regardless of whoever wins. Any gains that we are going to get will be based on our actions, not theirs. So I think, like, this is something that folks are really organizing around. Thank you, Carol. Yeah, and here's another point: the Green New Deal, the real one, which it was actually a Green Party platform piece that was bastardized by the by the Democratic Party,
which is one of I'd say it's the Democrats' best skill, is finding something the Green Party's calling for, and then taking the teeth out of it and then putting it forward.
Right.
Of course, they still can't get it passed, but.
And Carol's pointing out the one that bans fracking recently.
And military.
And just after the debates where Biden was like, yeah, no, dirty energy's bad, and then just recently in the Hill noted that Biden had said, no, I have no intention of banning fracking.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Louise. Yes, absolutely. Here to independent media and punching up. So yeah, I think that these issues that y'all are highlighting, and that we highlight in our work as well, will not change regardless of who wins this fake election. And so I think it's really important that, while of course we can't avoid focusing on this, on these results, but I think it's important that our focus, the bulk of our focus, remains on the actual issues at hand, the issues at hand that we have to push, because they're not going to be pushed by the powers that be. And I just want to take a quick note here to let everyone know that this coming week, basically starting tomorrow and going up until the day of the election, I will be releasing a video a day that features a guest. One of them is going to be this guy.
How did you land me for the show? How did you get that booking?
I know some people who know some people.
It was a bribe under the table.
Under this table, actually. No, so basically releasing, and it's like a short video, like 7-10 minutes or so, that features a guest and some of the important issues that aren't being talked about by corporate media, angles on issues like, for instance, the Supreme Court, that aren't being talked about by corporate media. So those will be starting tomorrow and running for an entire week. So do check that out. It'll be up on my website, artkillingapathy.com. It'll also be up on my Facebook page. So
thank you, Elise.
If you want to hear about election stuff but don't want to hear about the same bullshit drivel that corporate media shoves down our brain holes,
everyone should check it out at artkillingapathy.com.
Thank you, Elise.
We could give them you want to give them a little sample as to what Dan Kovalik had to talk about?
Yeah, so Dan Kovalik is a human rights lawyer and author, incredibly awesome human being. And so he sat down with me to talk about the Supreme Court. As some of you may know, Amy Coney Barrett, who's an absolute fucking, like, terrifying...
Coney Barrett.
What did I say?
Conan, I think.
Oh. Conan the Barbarian would be better. Let me just say that.
Thanks, Greg.
So she's on track to be, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
She's on track to be confirmed tomorrow. And so I sit down with Dan Kovalik and I point out some points, and he makes some points about the Supreme Court in general, about the Democrats, about RBG and all of that stuff in a nice little tight, like 10-minute window. So that's coming out tomorrow, and check that out. I will be putting it out there on the internets. And again, leftist alternative media is incredibly suppressed. I'm not suppressed to the extent that Lee is, but I am still censored. So please do look for it on my pages as opposed to just hoping that you find it in the ether, because it will not be sent out to the ether.
Speaking of Amy Coney Barrett, shouldn't it be shouldn't it get you eliminated from possibility, from a Supreme Court nomination to be a part of like a cult, basically? Some bizarre Christian fundamentalist shit that takes the Bible seriously, thinks a dude lived in a whale and shit.
Yeah.
Thinks a bush on fire was talking to people. I mean, these people were all high as fuck when they wrote this shit, and they believe it all. And then she's going to be on the highest court in the land. I mean, they should just, the moment are you extremely religious? Then you fucking can't be on the top court. All right. End of conversation.
Well, and I just find I saw this meme today that said, the Christian right believes that, like you said, a guy lived in a whale and Burning Bush was talking to him, but need more evidence on climate change.
Yeah, that they don't believe. That they're not sure about. Actually, Amy Coney Barrett wouldn't answer that question.
No, I know. She basically said you can't compare that to something like COVID because, science doesn't matter equally, I guess. There was something else I was going to say. You go ahead without me. I'll figure it out. You keep going.
Keep plowing along. So yeah, they're supposed to vote on her, by the way, tomorrow, I think Monday. And the Democrats have done basically nothing to actually stop her. They didn't show up to the committee thing, so they had the votes. The Republicans had the votes anyway. So even without the 10 Democrats there, they just voted it out of committee. But they could have, first of all, they could have not shown up to anything, meaning the entirety of the Senate, all of the Democrats not showing up would have had far more impact than this fucking committee thing. Secondly, and I know I've said this before and again, but they could have brought real impeachment charges against Trump, and that would have stopped this nomination. I mean, the Democrats are a combination of fucking Wall Street villains and spineless shitheads, and you just mush it all together into a sloppy goo that is just morally bankrupt. I mean, it's, and then they have the nerve to run around and be like, if we just gotten Hillary in office, this wouldn't be happening right now. You could fucking stop Amy Coney Barrett. So don't give me the Hillary shit.
Well, and at the same time, everyone says, the Democrats will say, oh, you have to vote for the Democrats, otherwise you're going to get the Republicans. Meanwhile, a bunch of Republicans are working with the Biden campaign. A bunch of Republicans.
Thank you, Robert.
Support Biden. Democrats routinely work with Republicans to pass horrific legislation in the House and the Senate. So this idea that you have to vote blue because you're going to get red otherwise, guess what? It's the same fucking thing. Do you want the red dumpster fire or the blue dumpster fire? I'd prefer not to have a dumpster fire, really. Thank you, Robert. Sorry, that scrolling problem.
It was a complicated name. She was trying to figure it out. Robert. Robert. Thank you, Robert.
You should make fun of people who are tired.
I know. I'm just trying to give the people a show.
You know what? I will be your, what do you call it?
I don't know.
In comedy, when you make fun of somebody,
the straight man.
Well, that's interesting.
The straight man. The straight woman.
Well, I'm not. So where does that leave us?
So anyway, the foil. You want to be the comedy foil? Sidekick.
That sounds interesting.
What sidekick?
Sidekick sounds fun.
But you're not the sidekick. You're not the sidekick. 90% of the time, you're giving the better rants. You're not the sidekick.
That's not true. Thank you, John.
You nailed that one. Thank you, John.
Shorter.
Let's see. Trying to read John's comment. If they really read the Bible. Yeah, there is some. I mean, also, if you take the actual reality of the Bible, not that I haven't read most of it, but I've read some important passages. It's a lot about protecting the poor, taking care of the poor, not exploiting people with usury and everything else. And so, really, it's look, we created this whole religion to try and get people to not be capitalist shitheads. and then they all became capitalist shitheads, and they even continue to hold up the book as if it supports capitalism shitheadery.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's also a lot of shit in the Bible that says that you should, go forth and conquer and,
Or
sell women.
stone your wife if she has an affair or something.
So I think we could go ahead and say that the Bible is not something that you should look up to in general. I mean, it certainly shouldn't be the foundation of a government. It's cool if you want to read it. I'm not like, whatever books you want to read, it's totally chill. I just don't think that it should be the foundation of a government. Or, as Lee pointed out, if you like really believe in this and this is like the guiding light of your work as a judge or whatever, you shouldn't be allowed to hold that office because you are going to be swayed by what you read in these fairy tale books.
It's true. You're bringing fairy tale into the courts. All right. So we go on to another topic, I guess. Also, please, thank you for all who have donated. All the proceeds are going to Food and Water Watch. They spend most of their time, fighting to protect our food and water in the courts. And soon they'll get to deal with Amy Coney Barrett. And they do a lot of important work. So all of the proceeds are going to that. I thought we would talk a little about what's going on with Sacklers and Big Pharma and the Purdue Pharma.
Good times.
So for those of you, you might have seen this, that there was a giant plea deal over the opioid epidemic. Most of you already know. I mean, we were losing it was like 150 people a day. It may still be that many. But
thank you, Mackenzie.
It's just a tremendous number of Americans dying from opioids. And the truth is that Purdue Pharma was one of the first to really put this stuff out there, lie to doctors, lie to patients, tell them that it wasn't addictive, tell them they'd be fine, tell doctors that it was like 10 times, less powerful than codeine or something, and when in fact it's like 80 times more powerful or whatever the numbers are. It's insane. But of course, it was all lies, and they knew as the bodies were piling up that people were dying from this. They claimed it wasn't addictive because it had time release, but they also knew that all you had to do to get around the time release was smash up the pills. And so they knew all this shit, and they continue to push it, continue to pressure doctors, give them all kinds of bribes like golf vacations and shit like that. And it worked. It got millions of people hooked on opioids and has just killed a crazy number. I saw the number 500,000, but I feel like that might be a low estimate.
And I think it's also important to bring this up, particularly right now, because we haven't really been talking about, I mean, everything is kind of paled in comparison to the conversation around COVID. And of course, I'm not saying that we shouldn't discuss the global pandemic, but the rise in opioid use has not only continued, but you could say that it's continued even, more aggressively because of COVID, because people are dealing with not just like the pain and stress of dealing with, losing their access to their job, their homes, dealing with having like a lot of people that, mutual aid networks have worked with are in domestic abuse situations that they can't get out of because they have to quarantine. So it's become even more pressing for a lot of people to reach for opioids now, even than it was perhaps a year ago. And this is not something that has really been discussed because, of course, again, it's paled in comparison to the COVID conversation, but also because Big Pharma is making bank off of it, which is why, of course, it's not. Thank you, DID or DID.
DID with $25. Thank you. Awesome.
So yeah. So I think it's important to bring this up right now because, again, I think for instance, what I found when I was doing my documentary in West Virginia, which has kind of been the epicenter for the opioid crisis in the United States, the main drivers of addiction are, isolation, whether that be physical or mental or emotional. Thank you, Maki. And
all right, our friend Maki's back.
And stress and trauma. And these are things that are obviously much more amplified in the context of the pandemic. So it's really important that we highlight this issue, and once again highlight the fact that the Sackler family and Purdue are fucking, they're not being held accountable at all. I'll let you speak more to that.
Yeah, so to tell you what just happened, so after years of this stuff, oh, and by the way, I played some of the deposition of, what's his name, Sackler, Dickface Sackler. They had his deposition, and it's hilarious. He claims to, during the deposition, he claims to not know whether he's the head of these companies or not. They're listing his subsidiaries, and they're saying, are you the head of this company? Are you the head of this company? He's like, I don't know. And then they go, well, here are the papers, and here's your signature. And then he goes, okay, if you say so, I guess I run that company. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, so these are the biggest scam artists, shitheads, killing people. They're fine with it, making billions of dollars. Anyway, people are.
Thank you, Sable.
Some people are celebrating because the plea deal that they've just signed to, first of all, it's for $8.3, I believe, billion dollars. Over $8 billion that is supposed to go to the victims. So some people are like, well, this is great. But here's the thing, is Purdue Pharma already bankrupt. So they're saying, well, there's a slim chance any of this money or much of it is going to actually get to victims and victim families. So maybe that $8 billion is meaningless. They're also saying that this was kind of pushed through this month in order for Trump to have a win. So he could say, look, I held the opioid companies accountable. And so, they didn't actually achieve everything that people had hoped for. The Sacklers do lose Purdue Pharma, but again, it was already bankrupt.
And they've been funneling money to offshore accounts for years because they knew some shit was going to go down. So they're going to be fine. They lose the company, but the company was going to go to shit anyway. And they are still, billionaires.
To answer your question, Eric, no, this is 8 billion total. This is all of the states.
What was the question?
He said, is that just one state?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Thank you, Ana Jimena.
Oh, Ana Jimena. Hi. Thank you so much. Ana Jimena does awesome work in South America and Brazil and Colombia, particularly with Afro-Indigenous folks. So you should check out her work over at WOLA, the Washington Office on Latin America. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. I'm looking at you.
That sounds right. WOLA.
Again,
if my initial
tired, I've always been shitty at acronyms. I have. It's just anyway. I'm sorry. I sidetracked you. Go ahead.
Okay, so they're losing. So they will now have nothing to do with Purdue Pharma, but they should be in jail. They should absolutely be in prison. And so the fact that they took their company away. Well, they took a bankrupt company away from them, and they've already stolen some of the money, plenty of it. They're still billionaires.
They don't have to give back the money that they've been fucking siphoning for years.
Probably not. And they're not going to prison, of course, because executives never go to prison. Whoa,
Thank you,
$50. Thank you, Chaos Agent. That's awesome. All proceeds going to Food and Water Watch. And so not only the Sackler's not going to prison, none of these executives, no one involved in this, none of the marketers that came up with these systems to trick people into wanting these things, asking for these things, needing these things. Nobody's going to prison. Like I said, a lot of the money or very little of the money is actually going to get to victim families. And they're the people that the people that actually represent the victims are saying, this is not much of a win. It looks like a big win, $8 billion, but it's not.
Well, yeah, and this kind of speaks to the how we understand the money. As somebody pointed out, inverted totalitarianism. Yes. It's kind of like when the fires in Australia were happening and Jeff Bezos donated like $700,000 or something, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, wow, he's so wonderful!" Or I think it was even more than that. It was like 7 million or something.
It was 6 million or something. Yeah.
Whatever the fuck the number was, there were a lot of zeros behind it. Way more money than I've ever seen or dealt with, but. And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, he's such a philanthropist. This is wonderful." But he makes that amount of money in like 5 minutes. So it would essentially be like if you or I gave, a penny. And people are fucking losing their minds. Go, "Oh my God, you gave a penny. That's so amazing." No, it's fucking grotesque. So it's important to recognize the how much is $8 billion, not just of the company as a whole, but how much is $8 billion compared to the havoc that has been wrought by these companies. And in that case, it's like, these people are mass murderers. And that's not fucking hyperbole. They are mass murderers.
Yep.
And they are not only getting away with mass murder, they are being allowed to continue to live like fucking kings.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say about that, because if I let myself go, I'm just going to go off on a fucking rant.
People like when you let yourself go.
I know. My head hurts.
They like when the laptop starts shaking a little. They're down with that. No, it really is.
Your rants are better.
It really is disgusting. And so I mean, this is one of these things where you create a headline. Purdue Pharma bankrupt, pleads guilty, $8 billion. You create a headline and people go, yay, we got justice. And if you actually look into the details, it's not really much justice. Emily Walden, who's the chair of Fed Up, which is the coalition of families that were harmed by the opioids, she said, I was very glad to hear finally the federal government saying that this is a felony and that what these people did was absolutely wrong. At the same time, they're already bankrupt. What penalty is there? There's none, really. So there you go.
Yeah.
Now imagine if you stole $20 from a convenience store or tried to, use, whether knowingly or unknowingly, a fake $20 like George Floyd, and you're executed for it.
Or the guy who's serving a life sentence for stealing a sweater.
Yeah, I believe it was a jacket. Okay,
oh.
Let's not let him off light.
My bad.
Let's not let him off light.
My bad.
Yeah, that's down in Louisiana. I don't remember the guy's name, but he stole a jacket. That was his third strike, and they had a 3 strikes and you're in prison for life rule. It's just fucking despicable. It's, it shows how our criminal justice system is often a criminal itself.
Also, Nicole, I'm totally down with that idea of meeting and yelling and singing metal over politics. Down.
I'm down with that. I'll come and listen. Come enjoy it.
Yeah. So I think it's oh man, I just lost my train of thought.
I liked where it's headed though.
But yeah, I mean, and this is something, with regards to the big pharma conversation, this is also something that we should really pay attention to with regards to, any potential COVID vaccine or whatever happens with COVID that is making big pharma and insurance companies billions of dollars.
Thank you, American of color.
And thank you. Words and things. Right.
It's okay. She's tired. Okay.
So, I'm sorry. I feel like.
No, I know. I was.
Whew. But that, whatever happens with COVID, that it's already making big pharma and insurance companies billions of dollars. And of course, as somebody noted, earlier in this broadcast, this is what happens when you have a for-profit system. If you don't have universal health care and things aren't based on the public good, but rather they're based on making profit, you will never have shit that is created or marketed or what have you for the good of the people. So, with all of this shit going down, 2020 has been a shit year for the majority of human beings. But 2020 has been a wonderful year for billionaires, for big pharma, for big insurance. They are like, pigs in shit, which actually, did you know that that's not actually a very good metaphor, because pigs actually, if you don't put pigs in a pen like with their own shit, they're actually like pretty clean animals and they don't actually like rolling around in shit. So that's not actually a very appropriate metaphor.
I mean, I have always pictured politicians as worse and dirtier than pigs. So. Yeah,
and I feel like the calling cops pigs, every time somebody does that, I understand, but a part of me goes, I've met pigs. They're pretty cool. They're pretty chill.
They're good people.
I've never seen a pig, shoot a black person.
It's very true. Once, but I mean, it was over some deli meat. It was.
And you were high.
Yeah, everyone was high. So anyway, that's what's going on with the Sacklers and Purdue Pharma.
Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
That's okay. I like a tangent. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahela.
Do you have a topic you'd like to go to?
What's
What's getting your goat, as they say?
That's another one.
What's stroking your donkey? What's pounding?
Wouldn't that just be stroking my ass?
You call your ass your donkey?
Well, a donkey is an ass, is it not?
Ah, okay. I got it. I just thought donkey was your nickname for your ass.
I don't know if that's an insult or not. I don't.
Me neither.
Is it?
Che Guevara rode around on a donkey, so they seem to be good animals.
No, I'm very pro donkey. I think I'm not anti donkey.
I mean, yeah, donkeys are fine.
I mean, I prefer a horse. Like if I could choose, I think I'd ride a horse. Anyway, in terms of topics, well, I just liked everyone to remind everyone that we are donating to Food and Water Watch. If you're watching this on Facebook, you need to go to youtube.com/moment of clarity.
And click subscribe, everybody.
And share and like. In order to donate, you got to go to youtube.com/moment of clarity. And Food and Water Watch does really great work protecting food and water. And watching it. And watching it. And one of the things that they've highlighted recently, I was kind of looking at their Twitter feed, is the fracking issue, because this is something that Biden has once again said, we are not banning fracking.
Oh, yeah, this is a good thing to talk about. This is amazing.
So, after the debates, which I didn't watch because
no, but I saw this clip. He said he was going to transition us off of fossil fuels.
Right.
Gasp. What a horrifying, crazy comment.
And then as soon as that happened, you could just almost like hear the scuttling of his aides in the background as they like quickly tried to figure out, shit,
people.
I have to call Big Oil and Gas and tell them that was just the fucking dementia setting in. And so since then, he's been working very hard to ensure everyone that no, he is, don't worry, everyone, he's not progressive. He's still in line with Trump. He has no intention of banning fracking. It's okay.
It was terrifying because for a moment, for one sentence in that debate, he said something progressive. And it was horrifying. Everyone didn't know what to do with themselves. The audience, many people shat themselves. One guy caught on fire. It was a mess. And then they were like, don't worry, folks. The two presidential contenders that we're allowed to talk about on the mainstream media both love fossil fuels and are in bed and just sticky and gross with fossil fuels all day, every day. And do not fear. Joe Biden just had a little brain fart, which he has a lot of these days, and he accidentally said something progressive, and he has passed that now. He's learned the error of his ways, and he is all for fossil fuels as we kill ourselves and go extinct, clearing the way for some sort of turtle thing to evolve to take over the planet 2 million years from now.
Turtles all the way down.
Turtles all the way up. Up with turtles.
So basically, Biden resituated himself with the Democrats to the right of common sense. And
just go to the left.
Well, but on the screen, I'm going to the right. See,
you're ahead of
you have
the game.
to think about how people are viewing this, Lee.
Okay.
I mean,
well, I'm on this side though.
Because this is.
I would like for all your hand moves to be only directed at me.
No, this is also something. This is something I learned when I was a personal trainer. If you're working with somebody face to face, you have to mirror them. So when you say and then put your left leg back in a lunge, you have to go with your right leg because. And
then, as George Carlin said, what do you do when you try and tell someone they have food right there?
What?
They go, where? Here?
Yeah. I need to rewatch that.
As you were saying.
So Biden resituated himself on Team Stupid when it comes to anything to do with climate justice, and reiterated that he is for fracking. And this is obviously something that Food and Water Watch has. Well, not obviously. This is something that Food and Water Watch has highlighted a lot of because fracking is so fucking horrific. And
John says Biden said he'd make it cleaner.
Right, this is like the clean coal shit. Like this is something that I heard a lot of in West Virginia too. Clean coal. What the fuck? No, you can't. It's physically impossible. And it just, again, like this speaks to something that I've talked about in the past, which is like the malleability of capitalism, right? We oftentimes think of capitalism as a very rigid system. And in terms of like what it allows outside the confines of the market and profit over people, it is rigid, but it will move with the times.
Oh yeah, no, it's like a river going around something that's in the way, or like one of the zombie movies where they're fast zombies and they're in a mob, and then you put something in their way, and then they just fucking float around it. You know,
there are fast zombies.
Yeah. Some of the movies have fast zombies these days. Yeah. Like 28 Days Later, isn't that one have fast zombies?
You can't have fast zombies.
Yeah, some of them are fast.
No.
Yeah, they've been training in the off season. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
That's unfair.
I agree.
The whole point of the zombies is that you can outrun them.
Not anymore, man. They're fucking Usain Bolton that shit right at you. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just ruined. Well, I never. Here's the thing. I never really liked zombies. We're gonna get into Halloween shit right now. I never really liked zombies because they just weren't. They're not like.
Because you're more intellectually turned on by people, and so they weren't really giving you the intellectual.
Well, they weren't giving me anything.
Stimulation.
They're not physically attractive, and they're not good conversationalists. Whereas vampires just seem more like intellectual, and they're hot. Vampires are always hot. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, but they're always trying to talk to you, to manipulate you, just so they can bite your neck. They're full of shit. Zombies are very straightforward and honest. They're like, "Hi, I'd like to eat your brains." In fact, half of them just go brains. Like, they just say it.
But see, that's
vampires. Vampires are like, "Hello, hang out with me. Would you like a glass of wine? Oh, you have something on your neck. Let me get it for you." Like, they've got to manipulate.
I'm totally down. If you give me wine. But I'm just saying, like, exactly. Like, what kind of conversation is brains? That's not, I can't, what am I supposed to do with
that? I agree.
I'm just saying. And actually, werewolves, too, are kind of cool because I just, I like animals.
Wait, you can't talk to a werewolf?
No, werewolf, not in the werewolf form. In the wolf.
So you gotta wait around while they, like, eat your leg off so that you can have a chat with them once they leave humanized?
I mean, if they could go out and eat and then come back like all like sweaty and primal.
Was waiting to see where that was going. Thank you, Rusty.
Thank you, Rusty. I'm just saying.
That's right. I forgot we were raising money for something. Rusty says portable TV needs work. Well, that's not up to me. Allowed to report on Russian news. Yes, I write all my own stuff. I've never been told what to say. I've never been told to say anything, not to say anything. And in fact, it's the only network where that's even allowed. So anyway, love you too, Rusty.
And actually, and I think this is something. Oh my God, somebody mentioned Underworld. Yes, those outfits. Anyway, that's But the interesting thing is that I too have been asked, because apparently I'm a Russian bot. Actually, anybody who says anything like progressive is a Russian bot. But somebody asked me on an interview once, like, why don't you talk more about different countries' politics? Like, they specifically asked me also about Sweden because I grew up there and I'm Swedish. And I said, well, first of all, I do talk about Sweden, but I live most of the time in the US. And I also feel, both as an organizer and as a journalist, that I feel more drawn to what's happening in the United States because of the United States' reach, both in terms of the economy and its military. So when Sweden fucks up, it's annoying, but it doesn't affect the world the same way that when the U.S. fucks up, it has ramifications around the entire globe, very harshly.
Well, and also, and by the way, someone said Lee needs to be able to swear because portable TV bleeps out my curse words. By the way, the bleeping on portable TV is going to be gone starting November 1st, I'm told. So the curse words will be freed again at portable.tv. But
you'll have all your fucks back.
Another reason, and I have done plenty of segments on, some of the stuff that goes on in Russia, but one is I'm way, way more informed on America because I'm American. I live in America. I understand America. I read about America far more. So I'm just way more informed on it. I feel like I know it more. But when it comes to America's policy with Russia, I do cover that because I am informed on that. However, it's like, for me to sit around, most of our shit about Russia that you see on CNN, NPR, whatever, Fox News, it's all bullshit propaganda. So that would mean if I'm really going to take it on, I would have to sit there just defending, our Russia and because of our propaganda shitting all, like trying to create a new Cold War against a country, I'd have to sit there and just be like, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit. And people are like, oh, he's being told to say this because he's on RT. So instead, I don't do it that much. I do it occasionally. I make fun of all the Russiagate hysteria bullshit and all that. But it's like, I don't feel like it should be my job to fucking analyze our endless array of just anti-Russia propaganda, but I do some of the time.
Vlad has a good point here.
What's that? They really did. Russia surrounded themselves by NATO bases.
Iran did the same thing. They surrounded their country with U.S. military bases, and that's really their fault. So,
Well, and what a lot of people think NATO's just good, right? It's a cooperation between countries. But really what it does, the biggest thing it serves is to basically put a green light on U.S. intervention and war, just killing people around the world. Every time we get NATO to sign up or pressure NATO to sign up for one of our wars, people act like, oh, that means it's a good war. Yeah, was Iraq a good war? Libya a good war? No, they're fucking horrific. So to act like because it says NATO approved at the top, it's good. It's I've used this analogy before, but it's like the Christmas wreath on the pedophile's home. It's just there to make you think everything's cool. Everything is not cool.
Yeah, that's a great. What's it called?
Analogy.
Thank you.
So we got about 5 more minutes here. We're cutting it a little shorter than normal, but not much. And we'd love for you guys to donate to Food and Water Watch, even if it's just $2. All the proceeds today are going to them. They do amazing work. They defend your ability to drink water out of your tap, your ability to breathe your air. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you've also worked with them in the past with your was it your book or your comedy special?
My comedy special, which everyone can watch for free now at leecampamerican.com.
Go watch it.
For the first many months it was out, it was like not $5, it was like $3, and much of the proceeds went to Food and Water Watch. So I did work for them. But I will put the website up here, so anyone after this, if you'd like
it's awesome.
more comedy, you can go watch my live comedy special.
Yes. Yeah. So, and if you're watching this after we've already ended, you can check it. Thank you, Matthew. You can check out Food and Water Watch. Just do a quick search and it'll take.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
So yeah, do check them out if you're watching this after we've already posted this. They do awesome work. And you can also, if you've watched any of the other ones after we've already finished the live streams, you can go to their websites and donate and find out more information about them there too.
Well, we got a few more minutes. You want to squeeze in that Facebook topic about Facebook hate groups?
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
I'm sorry, it's his fault. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, so I recently the Wall Street Journal, which I always find it funny when one of these like corporate rags does a story like this. It's like, what? So basically, the Wall Street Journal did a report that showed that 60% of the people that had joined
Thank you, Nicole.
That had joined a hate group on Facebook had joined it via direct advertising through Facebook's algorithm. So it was suggested to them to join like the KKK or whatever by Facebook. So Facebook is like suggesting to people that they go join right-wing extremist fascist hate groups.
Meanwhile, they're busily suppressing stuff like my stuff or Eleanor's stuff. And that suppression works on multiple levels. You have kind of the general term suppression, which goes for anybody. If you put, the U.S. war on terror is fake, or is, the U.S. war on terror was created to allow us to invade Afghanistan or something like that, they'll simply use the terms war and terror and suppress that post, no matter how important that information may be. It could be very important stuff like the Afghanistan papers that was even published by the Washington Post, but they're going to suppress that. And then there's more direct censorship and shadow banning, like against my page where I have 330,000 subscribers, well, used to, and they won't let me gain. I can't gain subscribers. For the past 4 years, I can't gain subscribers. I just dwindle down. And, you know, these videos like this one with you right now, we have something like 330 people watching on Facebook, and that's basically the max that they'll allow for us to get on Facebook. Just about every one of these videos caps out at 330, and it's because
thank you, Michael.
They won't let it go beyond that. So it's funny that they're like suppressing our stuff because we fight for peace and equality and health for humans around the world. That needs to be suppressed. Meanwhile, they're funneling people to hate groups.
Yeah, exactly. And this is this is something that's been going on for quite a while. Thank you, Silver. So yeah, it's just another example of how Facebook does not. I mean, and part of their.
Thank you, Michael and Silver.
Are they still working with the Atlantic Council? I assume that they are. They started working with the Atlantic Council, which is a right wing, fucking anti think tank. And to basically like help them police fake news, which is hilarious because, you know, Fox News and stuff was not considered fake news, but here are, you know, grassroots and frontline journalists actually giving people the real story, and they're censored or entirely banned from Facebook. So this is something that's been going on for years. And here's the thing. I'm not going to tell anyone to cancel Facebook or to delete Facebook. You can do whatever the fuck you want, but know what you're doing when you're using Facebook. Know what you're contributing to, and also what you're giving of yourself. You are literally the product on Facebook. They are tracking everything that you do. Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks a lot, Chuck.
They are tracking everything that you do. They're selling your information to companies. Everything that you do is open and available for people to see, whether that's a state, a government organization or a corporation. So just know what it is that you are being a part of when you use Facebook. That's, informed consent, right?
And the reason I don't tell people to just delete their Facebook, I mean, I think it's fine if people do. You'll probably be happier. But one is because it is so massive that it's like a secondary internet with billions of users. So for activists, for people trying to get a message across to say, hey, don't use the internet because it mines your data. You're giving away a massive tool, whether you like it or not. Like, it is a tool we can use even as we're being suppressed. And then there's the fact that I spent 10 years, it's more now, but at least 10 years building up that Facebook page, which is like if someone spent 10 years building up a restaurant. It is a business in the sense that I built up a page, and with hard work and hours and man hours and all that shit, to create a place where people could see my stuff and what I was talking about. And now to just be like, fuck Facebook, I'm deleting, my restaurant that I spent 10 years on.
Thank you, Vlad.
Thank you, Vlad.
So I think that's I agree. I understand why people wouldn't want to delete Facebook. But again, it's important to understand what these sites are and what they do. So, yeah.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap up. But if you enjoyed this, you would love our podcast. It's called Common Censored. It's free every week, and it's on all your podcast platforms. Also, Eleanor's new videos, interviews every day headed into the election, will be on Act Out on YouTube, as well as artkillingapathy.com. You can watch Eleanor's new film, which has won all kinds of awards, at hardroadofhope.com. And my stuff's at leecamp.com. I started doing a new kind of web series that's rants. It's rants of the day, and I think you'd like it. It's at leecamp.com. It's called Point Being.
And
thanks, David, for donating to Food and Water Watch.
Yes, thank you all for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Keep fighting.